Hi, my name is Hayley, and this is my Beyond moment. As you all know, I was born with a cleft lip and palate. And for the past 17 years, it hasn't always been easy. But God was there. When I was 4 months old, I went for an operation to close up my lip and my palate because I had a very big hole in the back that I wasn't allowed to drink milk or eat anything until it was closed. But I didn't drink milk. But yeah, so when they would feed me, the milk would come out of my nose because I had a hole that led from my right nostril into my mouth. So there was only 3 people that were allowed to feed me: my mom, my dad, and my granny. And no one was allowed to see me. So after I had closed my nose and my lip and my palate, they sewed my tongue to my cheek so that my tongue wouldn't interfere with the stitches and etc. So as I grew older, I went for speech therapy because I would speak out of my nose and I sound very nasally. And sometimes my mom tells me, "You still sound like you're talking from your nose." But I can't control it. But I went for months of that. I did many treatments as well, and I also started going to the dentist and my ENT and my orthodontist and my plastic surgeon when I was 5 years old to correct the placement of my teeth on my upper jaw. Because if I didn't, they said that it would collapse, and we didn't want that. So I went for braces. No, first of all, I had a retainer because my palate was so small. They had to make it bigger. So I had a retainer that will increase the size of my palate every single week. I had to go in, and they would make it bigger, and then they basically stretched my upper palate out. So on my upper jaw, I have to say, I didn't have a tooth because in the bone it was split in half. So there was no teeth that could grow in that place. And as they were widening my jaw, that gap in my bone got bigger. So went for braces, got my braces off. And when I got my braces off, they said, "Okay, now it's time for you to go for your bone graft." So I was 11 years old. I remember going to get the date. It was on my uncle's birthday, 23rd July. And I went 20 days before that to get the date. And I was like, I'm going to eat 20 burgers now because I know I won't be able to eat after this. So basically what they did is they cut a piece of my bone from my left hip to fill the hole from my nostril into my mouth. And then on my uncle's birthday, I went early in the morning. I was so nervous. I forced my parents to buy me this Bible book that I saw a girl had in my class, and we made sure I had that book. We went to every store, and I found that book. And I remember every day up till that day, I read it. Yes, so I would just open that book and I would read it. And before I went in for the operation, I remember telling my mother I don't want to go. So I told her I don't want to go, and she was like, "You have to." And so they only allowed one parent in with me, and I had to change into the operating clothes. And while I was changing out, she was crying, and I'm like, "Why are you crying? You're not going for it." And I was so small, just 11 years old, and to go through that. So it was a 4-hour operation. And when I came out, I was after the anesthesia, it was so hectic. And they said I had to walk. Because they cut my hip bone, I had to walk afterwards. So I remember, like a couple hours after I came out of theater, they said, okay, you need to walk now. So the nurse helped me, and my mom was there, but I kept falling because my whole body was so weak, and especially my legs. And the pain that that was the most extreme pain I've ever felt. I ended up going home in the night because they said, okay, you're like free to go. And they put me in the wheelchair, and I just remember crying the entire time. And also because the operation also was in my mouth as well. I couldn't eat for a month. So I wasn't allowed to have any solid foods. And I wanted curry. So I still ate the curry, even though I wasn't allowed to. And then my whole entire face just puffed up. It was terrible. Because I put too much of strain. I was just crying the entire time. And I remember I slept in my parents' room for that whole 1 month because I couldn't walk, I couldn't wake up. I just remember laying on the bed for 1 month. And I just cried the entire time. But I know I got the strength from God. I can't imagine how much pain I went through when I was a little baby. I'm grateful to God that I don't remember all that. And I'm grateful to God that my other operations was when I was a little baby. But when I look at those photos that my parents took of me, I can somewhat still feel that pain. And when I look back at all the treatment, all the procedures, the operations, the doctor's appointments, I know God was there with me. I didn't like the way I was born. But I knew God created me for a purpose. And I believe now was the time to share my story, my beyond moment, and what God has done in my life. So, after my bone graft, the cold was terrible. The pains that I would get, how I wasn't allowed to eat, and it was just, all I can remember is just pain. Years later, 17 now, they say, okay, you need to go for implants because your jaw's still not looking that good. They're saying that it still looks like it's going to collapse. So because I'm older now, I go into my orthodontist alone. So he tells me everything. And when it gets serious, then I call my parents. So brought my dad in, and the doctor tells me, you know what, Hayley needs to go for this. It's time. you need to go and see this doctor. He's a very top doctor in dental surgery, and he will give you further details. So I go Googling this doctor, I see all his work, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have that. And my mom makes a note, phones his assistant, and she's like, no, the first appointment is 7,000. And she was like, okay, and they don't take medical aid. So mom was like, absolutely not. And when she told me that we can't afford that, imagine what the operation is gonna be like, my heart just broke, because I was very insecure about not having a tooth in the front. Everyone knew I had a retainer, and y'all didn't know what the retainer was for. So I wouldn't eat in places, especially in cell meeting. People think I'm on a diet or I'm fasting. And it's hard to explain. And no one knew. Even my own family members, some of them did not know that I did have a fake tooth. And that really affected me, especially in school. In school, it was not easy as well. Like, you will see the children staring at you. But God gave me courage. He made me brave and bold. And yes, so mom told me I couldn't go to that dental surgeon. So I phoned my orthodontist, and he's like giving me another option. So we went to him. I did my consultation, and he said, okay, it's coming to 80,000 now. And the medical aid did not want to approve. So this time I didn't worry. I didn't worry at all. I literally only prayed once for this thing, because that's how much I didn't worry about it. It wasn't something I constantly thought about. So I said, Lord, if I leave it in your hands, I know it will come in your timing. And then I remember the day my father was trying to get a hold of me and my mom, but no one was picking up. And then I see my phone, and I'm like, how? He's phoning me? So I answered, and he was like, your thing got approved. It's approved. And I just froze, because this was 3 months later now. And I'm like, what? God. I just knew it was him. It can only be God. And then after when he hit me, I started screaming. I'm like, Mom, answer your phone. Dad is calling you. And then she realized, she was like just shocked. And then I went for my second consultation, and he told me, we want to remove all your upper teeth and put new ones, just to strengthen your jaw more. But when they discuss things about me, they sit with a board of doctors. So it was my orthodontist as well, and it was there was 3 doctors involved. And my orthodontist said, okay, let's remove all the teeth. My dental surgeon said, no, half a jaw is still healthy, let's do the other half. And they left it in my hands. It was my decision to make. And I was like, I didn't even have that much of time. I literally had a couple of seconds to make this decision. And the doctor goes, okay, you need to tell me what you want to do now. You can do your whole upper jaw, but later down the line, what if something happens? And you can do half your jaw, and then when you're going to come back in again. If you want to do the other half, you can. So I ended up doing half my upper jaw, and I sat there for 2 hours just praying. And I was awake. They didn't put me off. I was awake just praying for that 2 hours. I didn't want my parents in the room, because I knew that would make me more anxious. So in that time, it was just me and God talking, while there was still that noise and the discomfort. And the doctor forgot to numb me. So I was crying, and only then he realized she could still feel all of this, and then he numbed me again. And And when I came out of that room, I just shook my head and I'm like, again, the pain. So, again, I couldn't eat. It was hard to talk. And I felt very alone because no one knew what I was going through. So I did the first half of the procedure, and then the doctor tells me, okay, you have to come in again 2 days later to fit your bridging in. So I go in the second time, and he's not very gentle. So he just pulls whatever you put on the temporary ones, and I could just feel the blood and the cold air just like coming out. And but again, for that extra hour, I just told God, strengthen me, give me your strength. And when he placed his bridge on me, and I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. I was like, who is this now? New smile and everything. And there was 4 doctors in the room. They all looked at me and they're like, wow, look at this. Whenever I would go to my doctor's appointments, they would show my progress to remind me what God has done. The Hayley I was at 5 years old when I started this treatment is not the same at all. Physically, in appearance, and internally. So, it was a very big adjustment, and when I was small, I kept asking God, why? Just that. And I used to love singing. It used to be my mom and I in the house. And I had a toy mic and a chair. So the chair in the back had a hole, like a circle, and the mic fit in perfectly. And she would play music loud, and I put the mic there. I put the chair in front of the TV. I put the mic there, and I would just sing. Didn't sound nice at all because I was talking through my nose, and I just sang. That's all I did. And now I never saw myself worshiping God like this on a stage in a church. Always imagined it in my old church. I was like, I could do it, but I can't. And a lot of it had to do with the way I look. I was very insecure. But I know God made me perfectly and in His own image, and I had to remind myself that every day. And from not being able to talk properly or be comfortable within my own skin, and to see myself now that I could just I'm free to worship God, the one that created me. When I see that my voice has touched other people, and I can just thank God, because I know what He has done in my life. Sometimes it felt quiet. I wasn't very open about how I felt, but I always closed my door. My granny taught me from a very young age, close the door, go on your knees, and talk to God. And I did that. And through this whole 17 years, I've just had His peace. And always felt His love. And I always knew that He was there. Every appointment, I felt His presence. He knew what I asked Him. And now when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, it's shocking, because like, I never looked like this. I'm just in awe of what God has done in my life. From where He took me into where He has placed me in this beautiful home. And I just never expected that for myself. It was very hard, yes. And I can't imagine what my parents had to go through to see their child go through all that. But God gave me the best parents. And I'm very grateful for them, for everything that they've done. So this is my beyond moment, when God's abundance began, when my limits ended.